The movie begins with a car speeding down the roads of Poland. The man in the driver's seat is excited about a promotion he will be getting soon. He is the main lead, Tomek. The woman sitting next to him, Magda, tries to calm him down, but jittery with nerves, he keeps driving fast. They reach their destination 45 minutes earlier, where they are supposed to meet a client. He is pretty sure that he would be able to close the deal. Magda then informs him that her parents are coming over later in the weekend, and she wants him to meet them. He just laughs and says that they are good together and have a lot of fun, but he never promised her anything more than this. She sighs and goes inside the building. Once inside, Tomek meets a few of his colleagues who wish him luck for his deal and possible promotion that can come afterward. Suddenly, Tomek remembers that he forgot his phone in the car. He goes back to retrieve it, and this is when a beautiful woman catches his eye. He tries to impress her with his dazzling smile, but she rolls his eyes and keeps moving. Never in his life has Tomek been turned down by any woman, so he runs after her and into a bus. Fate takes an unexpected twist when the Japanese delegation that Tomek was scheduled to meet shows up half an hour early. Magda, realizing the urgency of the situation, frantically tries to contact Tomek, but her calls go unanswered, heightening the tension. Meanwhile, oblivious to the chaos unfolding at the office, Tomek boards a bus and sits down beside the girl he's been thinking about. She lets out a soft sigh at the sight of him, perhaps a mix of exasperation and something else, but he just keeps smiling, his heart light despite the impending crisis. Back at the company, the stakes are high, and the deal with the Japanese delegation is crucial. With Tomek still out of reach, the team scrambles to entertain the guests, determined to keep them engaged until Tomek arrives, knowing that so much rides on making a good impression. Not knowing that the meeting, which was supposed to be half an hour later, has already started, Tomek keeps on flirting with the girl. He encounters troubles when he is asked for a ticket he clearly does not have. He is taken out of the bus with force, and one of the men handling him answers his phone, telling Magda that Tomek has messed up and will not be able to get to the meeting. Later, after managing to free himself from the clutches of the men, Tomek rushes to his office, desperate to explain what happened. But before he can even get the words out, his boss, seething with anger over the damage his absence has caused the company, cuts him off and fires him on the spot. Tomek, who had been on the brink of a significant promotion, now finds himself without a job, his dreams of a high-ranking position shattered in an instant. He leaves the office with his few belongings packed into a small, lonely box, the weight of his losses pressing down on him. As if this wasn't devastating enough, Magda delivers another crushing blow. She ends their relationship, leaving him not only jobless, but also without a place to call home. In a matter of hours, Tomek's entire life has unraveled, leaving him adrift and struggling to find solid ground. Not having any other option left, Tomek decides to go live with his brother, Janek, who is a computer scientist. Janek is shocked to see his brother standing on his doorstep because the two of them had been in contact for ages. Tomek explains how he lost everything he had and now is completely broke. Furious at him for suddenly appearing out of nowhere after treating him badly all his life, Janek throws his bags out of his apartment. Not having anywhere else to go, Tomek begs to let him sleep for just one night. Janek, being the nice brother, gives him the sofa, not knowing that this one night is going to turn into a number of nights. Later that day, while Janek is busy working on his computers, Tomek suggests that they should go out. Since he is busy with work, he declines the offer. Instead of backing, Tomek then asks his brother for help in finding the girl he met earlier by hacking the security cameras because he thinks she is the one for him. Janek is annoyed because Tomek has said this exact same thing about thousands of girls in the past. The two brothers get into an argument, indicating how bad their relationship is. Angrily, Tomek leaves Janek's office, and once left alone, Janek talks to his plants, assuring them that Tomek will be gone in one day. Walking across the town, Tomek calls some of his connections in the hope of securing a job, but it turns out that the news of his removal from his past job has reached many years, meaning an end to his career. Disappointed, he hangs up the call. Walking aimlessly, he enters a bar and finds an old friend, Midas. Since the two of them are meeting after a long time, they decide on having vodkas. Tom asks him for a job. Midas, a filmmaker and photographer, is headed to shoot a wedding and offers Tomek to come with him and shoot behind the scenes and stuff like that. He is hesitant at first, but being broke, he finds it a good opportunity. It turns out that the wedding is of the son of a Polish minister, Minister Kosecki. The next morning, Tomek wakes up to the sound of his brother singing in the shower, but pretends to sleep. All dressed up, Janek goes to a flower shop to get a plant. But in reality, the plant is just an excuse. He is actually in love with the florist Clara. She hands him the plant, along with some guidelines on how to treat it. Both of them are obsessed with plants and talk about them animatedly. Amidst talking, Yannick spots Tomek and runs out of the shop. Once outside, Tomek laughs that his brother, who is allergic to flowers, fell in love with a florist. Jonky tries to make a point by saying that he is not allergic to cactus, but Tomek keeps laughing. He boasts that he is a relationship expert and knows very well that Yannick's little crush will not work. Tomek offers to help him in return for him helping with the wedding gig, but since Yannick is not very fond of his brother, he ignores him. Later that day, while Tomek is having breakfast, Yannick drags his stuff out, demanding that he leave. Pretending to be a good brother, Tomek advises his brother on how to approach Clara, and this is when Yannick realizes that he ran out of her shop without paying. He rushes back and sees Clara getting ready to leave. Upon being spotted, he apologizes and starts to pay. He then musters up enough courage to ask her out. She smiles and says that he could walk her to the bank. On their walk together, they make small talk about the plants he got from her. He then again asks her out to go somewhere with him. Realizing that he is asking her on a date, her smile falls. Sadly, she tells him that she is not the right girl for him. Heartbroken, Yannick watches her go. The next day, Yannick and Tomek arrive at the grand venue, where they are set to begin their work. As they step inside, they are greeted by the minister's wife, Patsy, who warmly welcomes them and casually mentions that the wedding is just a week away. Tomek, recognizing her as a former actress, seizes the opportunity to make a good impression. He compliments her on her acting career, laying on the praise with just the right touch of admiration. His charm works, and Patsy is clearly flattered by the attention. After winning her favor, Tomek is handed an NDA to sign, binding him to secrecy about anything he might witness while working at the venue. With a pen in hand and a confident smile, Tomek signs the agreement. Fate takes an interesting turn when the bride-to-be, Ola, arrives. Tomek is surprised to find that the girl is none other than the one he followed the other day, resulting in him losing his whole career. They exchange greetings and controlled by his emotions, he quickly leans in to kiss her. Stunned, she pushes him away, calling him a maniac. Unbothered by being pushed away, he keeps on talking, but she slaps him in the face. Even after being slapped, he keeps smiling and offers to start over. She calls him an idiot, but he laughs, saying that this is just the beginning of a great love story. Proving that Ola is right, he definitely is an idiot. Later that night, the brothers settle down into their room. Tomek drinks wine while Yannick sits, heartbroken. Seeing his only brother in this state, Tomek tries to cheer him up by saying that he knows that Clara loves him too. She is just scared to admit it. Yannick is in denial, not wanting to believe that he could be loved by someone. Tomek sighs and says that it is just human psychology. Yannick has a male ego to satisfy, while Clara does not want to be easy to win over. He calls it all a conquering game, just like how Ola slapped him to conquer him. Yannick calls Tomek delusional, reminding him that Ola is about to get married. Tomek, on the other hand, is convinced that no woman is safe from his charm and bets that one day Ola will be his. The next morning, they get to work, filming the behind-the-scenes of the wedding. Patsy and Ola are in the kitchen going over the menu for the wedding. As the day goes on, Tomek gets more comfortable with Patsy, totally impressing her with his charm. But on the other hand, Ola is annoyed by it. While working, they find that the location they are at is just for the rehearsal dinner, and that the original wedding would be taking place at the royal castle, with very important personalities as the guests. Patsy throws tantrums over every single detail, screaming at her assistant to make sure everything is perfect. Meanwhile, Ola gets a call from her fiancé, Chris, to whom she says how she is going crazy with the wedding preparations. Later, Tomek films an interview with Patsy and Ola. This is during this interview that we find that the marriage is a love affair. Ola is an orphan, raised by her grandmother, and only 3 of her guests are coming to the wedding. Patsy leaves the interview midway after getting a call, and so they end it. Not having anything to do, the 3 of them go out in the gardens. Yannick stands at a side, imagining his conversation with Clara, while Tomek and Ola decide to take a walk, talking. She tells him that she is a student, doing her master's in courtly love. She recites a fragment that she really loves, and it turns out that Yannick has a similar interest. The 2 of them start talking excitedly. Annoyed, Tomek playfully pulls Yannick aside and tells him, sternly, to leave. Once again left alone, Tomek and Ola find themselves deep in conversation, drifting into topics of love and demise. They walk together, their words flowing as they explore the depths of their thoughts and emotions, unaware that someone is watching them from the shadows, secretly recording every moment. Meanwhile, back inside, Yannick drowns his stress in alcohol, throwing back shot after shot in a futile attempt to numb whatever is weighing on his mind. When Tomek and Ola return, they are met by enraged Patsy. Her fury stems from a problem that seems trivial, but is monumental to her. The flowers she desperately wants for the wedding are suddenly unavailable, adding to the growing tension surrounding the event. Later at night, Ola's grandmother arrives. She asks about Patsy's behavior, and Ola finally admits that Patsy is too much. His grandmother laughs at her annoyance and talks about her upcoming wedding. Being the one who raised her, she quickly realizes that Ola is not as happy as she should be. She tells her how happy she was at her own wedding and expects Ola to be the same. On the other hand, Tomek can be seen reading a book about courtly love. He laughs, finding the writing cool. While Yannick is getting ready to meet Clara, seeing his terrible taste, Tomek jumps in to help him. He helps him choose an outfit and gives him a bunch of advice. The next morning, all dressed up, Yannick goes to visit Clara. She's surprised to see him there. She apologizes for her behavior, and Yannick recommends starting over. They introduce themselves once again and go out for a walk. Suddenly, Yannick is stopped by a girl who throws herself all over him. She even kisses him. Seeing this awkward encounter, Clara leaves. Seething with anger, Yannick gets back home and orders Tomek to move out. He is furious that Tomek hired the girl, which resulted in Clara getting hurt. Instead of admitting his mistake, Tomek calls it a good sign, saying everything is going according to plan. Very calmly, Tomek tells his brother to trust him. The two of them then go to work. While going through all the details, Patsy and Ola get into a fight. Since Ola wants a simple and modest wedding, she hates everything that Patsy recommends. Patsy does not even let her explain her desires, saying that it is their family reputation that matters. As Ola barges out, Patsy sends Tomek after her. Outside the venue, Ola can be seen heading towards her car when Tomek stops her. He offers to drive her wherever she wants, and she agrees. The two of them drive away without knowing that they are being recorded. Back in the main city, driving aimlessly, they talk about the book Tomek read. They share their thoughts about it, and the conversation turns to Ola's coming wedding. He offers to be there for her if she ever needs an escape from this dilemma. They get to her grandmother's place, worried because she was not answering her phone. It turns out that she is all right. She just broke up with her boyfriend, so that is why she was staying away from her phone. She stops talking when she sees Tomek standing behind Ola. Ola introduces him as the filmmaker for the wedding, and they all sit down for tea. On the other hand, Yannick tries contacting Tomek, who is busy telling the tidbits of the fight to Ola's grandmother. She is impressed by Tomek and calls him a nice boy. Annoyed by how friendly the two of them are getting, Ola tells Tomek to leave, but he keeps on talking. As they talk more, Ola's grandmother realizes that Tomek is just like her late husband. With every passing moment, she gets more impressed by him. As he leaves to take a call, Ola's grandmother tells her that she can see that Tomek likes Ola. After talking with Tomek, Yannick goes to meet Clara. There, a thief snatches her purse and runs away. He runs after him, and it is revealed that it is Tomek pretending to be a thief. He hands Yannick the purse and runs away. But fate makes a cruel joke when the police arrive, and thinking that Yannick is the thief, start beating him. But thankfully Clara arrives, saving him. She takes him to her place to help with the injuries. Unable to control his emotions anymore, he kisses her. At first she kisses him back, but then moves away. It turns out that she thinks that she is cursed because every man she has ever loved has faced a terrible fate. Not caring about whatever she thinks about herself, he pulls her in and kisses her passionately. That night, Yannick comes back home, happy. Tomek is excited to see his brother in such a good mood, but they get into an argument when Yannick tells him that he will not be filming with him anymore. Since Ola is a good girl, he cannot see Tomek ruining her life for just fun. Tomek cannot believe that Yannick is abandoning him, but this further infuriates him. He calls Tomek the runaway king. The man who abandoned Yannick in tough times, in times like when their mom passed away. Their arguments turn into a fistfight, but before it can escalate, fate takes an interesting turn and they are kidnapped. It turns out that they have been kidnapped by Don Smyra, the most infamous Polish gangster. It turns out that Kosecki has a grudge against Smyra, but he does not know that Ola is in fact Smyra's daughter. With him being a powerful Don, he was able to remove all records connecting the two of them. Now, after Ola's wedding, Kosecki and Smyra will become family, and he will not be able to take any action against Smyra. It is revealed that it was Smyra's men who were keeping an eye on Tomek, and he warns them not to try anything to break Ola's wedding. After their tense meeting with Smyra, Tomek and Yannick are dumped back at their house. Tomek heads inside, weighed down by the day's events, while Yannick makes his way to Clara's place. Fear gnaws at him, Smyra's threats echoing in his mind, pushing him to make a heartbreaking decision. He ends things with Clara to protect her. Her eyes well up with tears, but despite the pain, he walks away, unable to bear the thought of her being in danger. Later, the brothers throw themselves back into their work, trying to focus even as Smyra's men keep a watchful eye on them. With only one day left before the wedding festivities, Chris, the groom, returns from Dubai, adding to the growing tension. Tomek, tasked with conducting an interview of the couple, sits down with them to uncover their story. During the conversation, it becomes clear that Chris has a controlling streak, barely allowing Ola to speak, as if her voice doesn't matter. The atmosphere grows uncomfortable, but Tomek pushes through, determined to get the truth. After wrapping up the interview, Tomek heads over to Kosecki, intent on asking him about his thoughts on Chris and Ola's upcoming wedding. The interview begins smoothly, with Kosecki sharing his views, but it quickly veers off course, turning into a self-serving presidential campaign speech. Sensing the shift, Patsy steps in, ordering the interview to be cut short before it spirals any further. The rehearsal dinner begins later in the day. Patsy is overly energetic all through the rehearsals, while Ola stands by her side, slightly embarrassed. Kosecki plays the musical chair while Tomek and Yannick record them. Things take an interesting turn when, due to the absence of Chris, Tomek is ordered by Patsy to stand by Ola just for the rehearsals. The two of them dance, having fun. They get too close and almost kiss, but Patsy orders the music to be turned off, saving everyone from an awkward encounter. On the other hand, Clara can be seen in her home, heartbroken and crying. After the tense scene at the rehearsal dinner, Patsy summons Tomek to her room. When he arrives, she offers him a drink, which he politely declines. Her request soon turns more personal as she asks him to unzip her dress. Hesitant but compliant, Tomek helps her with the zipper. Just as he thinks he is done, Patsy makes another request, this time for him to massage her neck. Taking advantage of the moment, Patsy locks the door behind him, her intentions becoming clear. As she advances on Tomek, he quickly realizes the gravity of the situation. He finds himself in bed with her, but just as things are escalating, the unexpected arrival of her husband, the minister, adds a new layer of urgency. In a desperate bid to escape, Tomek cleverly turns the situation around. He takes the handcuffs from Patsy and handcuffs her to the bed instead. Then, to cover his tracks and create a diversion, he sets off a false fire alarm. Amid the chaos, Tomek makes his escape. The day changes into night. Yannick takes the responsibility of shooting that bachelor party, while Tomek takes the bachelorette. While waiting for Ola, her friends get a call from Ola, saying that her grandma is sick and she will not be coming. Finding it a bit odd, Tomek leaves to investigate. On the other hand, while shooting moments of the party, Yannick accidentally eavesdropped on Patsy and Chris arguing. The talk seems to be about something that Chris wants to do, but Patsy is totally against it. Tomek arrives at Ola's grandmother's place, relieved to find her in good health. The elderly woman, with a look of deep concern, pleads with Tomek to help Ola and then quietly steps out, leaving him alone to confront his feelings. Gathering all the courage he can, Tomek goes to see Ola and is heartbroken to find her drowning her sorrows in alcohol, tears streaming down her face. The sight of her in such despair compels him to question why she's marrying Chris when she clearly isn't happy. His words ignited a fury in her, furious that he could even entertain the idea that she might have feelings for him. She harshly orders him to leave, and though she walks him to the door with a cold exterior, the moment he steps out, her facade crumbles, and she breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, the bachelor party rages on, oblivious to the emotional storm brewing elsewhere. Later, as Ola opens her door, she is surprised to find Tomek standing there, waiting for her with quiet determination. Unable to hold back any longer, she pulls him inside, her emotions overwhelming her as she kisses him with a passion that has been building up for far too long. After his work, Yannick gets home to find Clara waiting for him. He invites her in, and they have a talk about what he said to her the other day. She cannot seem to believe that she was only a one-time hookup for him, and he is leaving her. Not being able to tell her the truth about his situation, he lies, hurting her. Disappointed, she leaves, only to be cornered by some men on the street. Yannick rushes in to help her and gets a good beating. They run away, leaving him bleeding on the road. Clara helps him get on his feet and takes him back home. The next day dawns with Tomek waking up in Ola's bed, the warmth of their night together still lingering in the air. Ola, now filled with happiness she never knew with Chris, smiles with a newfound sense of contentment. Although a shadow of fear hangs over them about what Kosecki and Smyra might do, Tomek reassures her to stay calm. They dream of escaping together, leaving everything behind. But before they can set their plan in motion, Tomek steps out to tie up some loose ends, only to be ambushed and kidnapped right outside her home. Ola witnesses the horrifying scene, her heart racing as she frantically calls Yannick, who is with Clara, seeking help. Tomek eventually wakes up, only to find himself tied to a bed. His captor coldly informs him that he'll be set free, but only after the wedding. Disturbed by Tomek's kidnapping, Ola goes to pay her father a visit. Seeing her after more than a decade brings so many emotions to the surface, but Smyra keeps them in check. She tells him that she would marry Chris if it meant he would release Tomek. On the other hand, Yannick reaches the place where Tomek is being held captive. Tomek is surprised to see his brother there for him, and apologizes for all the times he messed up his life. Yannick gives a USB to the kidnapper to pass it to Smyra in exchange for Tomek's release. When Smyra watches the video clip inside, his face breaks into a huge grin, and he orders Tomek to be released. The brothers rush out to find Ola before the wedding. At the wedding venue, everyone has already arrived, waiting for the bride. Ola arrives all dressed up, a little hesitant to marry Chris. She takes Chris on a side to have a conversation, and to tell him about how she loves Tomek. But before they can talk, Patsy arrives, ushering them inside. As they drive towards their destination, the car suddenly breaks down, leaving Tomek frustrated and on the verge of giving up. In that bleak moment, with doubt creeping in, Yannick steps in and reignites the flicker of hope, reminding him that after coming this far, turning back is not an option. Fueled by this newfound determination, Tomek leaps out of the car and starts running, driven by a surge of motivation and the belief that he can push through any obstacle. The wedding rituals begin. The father gives his sermon, followed by a choir. The vows begin, and Tomek has not even reached the venue yet. During the vows, Ola accidentally takes Tomek's name, causing a bit of delay. But ignoring the mistake, the ceremony keeps on going. Right before they kiss each other, Tomek arrives, telling them to stop. He encourages Chris to tell Ola the truth, that he does not love her. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ola runs away with Tomek, and they ride a bus to escape. While on the bus, he shows her a video of Chris kissing a man, revealing the fact that Chris is in fact gay. To save themselves from all trouble, he sends the video to Patsy as blackmail, but it turns out that she always knew, and this is what she and Chris were talking about during the bachelor party. Tomek lays out his terms that now no one will come after them or Smyra, and Kosecki will withdraw from elections, or else this video will be all over the internet. Not having any other option, she agrees. The movie concludes with a heartwarming scene as Tomek and Ola, caught up in the heat of the moment, share a passionate kiss while surrounded by the lively energy of musicians on the bus. Meanwhile, Yannick, filled with love and hope, gets down on one knee and proposes to Clara, who joyfully accepts. In another beautiful moment, Chris celebrates his love by marrying his boyfriend, Adrian, solidifying their bond in a touching and heartfelt ceremony.